All right, former Washington Post columnist, technology reporter for the New York Times, Daily Beast, and Business Insider, Taylor Lorenz made a lot of headlines Sunday with her comments about the alleged UnitedHealthcare CEO assassin, Luigi Mangione. Take a look.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man, which is hard to find.
Okay, she claims she was just expressing the views of his supporters, but remember, just hours after the murder, she responded to a story about Blue Cross Blue Shield no longer covering anesthesia for some full-length surgeries, writing, quote, "And people wonder why we want these executives dead. Want them dead." She later tried to clarify her comments, but appeared to double down, publishing a piece on Substack that said in part, quote, "If you have watched a loved one die because an insurance conglomerate has denied their life-saving treatment as a cost-cutting measure, yes, it's natural to wish that the people who run such conglomerates would suffer the same fate." Sunday's comments came roughly a week after she expressed disappointment in a post on X when she learned a tweet claiming Joe Biden had not died was not true. Remember, back in November, she posted saying, quote, "Joe Biden is a war criminal who should never know peace." Technology, online culture journalist Taylor Lorenz is here to explain. All right, try and explain this to me. You feel joy. Those are your words. So you felt joy over the murder of this father? No, those are the words you use. You can shake your head all you want.
No.
We have the tape. We have the tape. And number one, then you go on to say, and people wonder why we want these executives dead. Then you posted an image of the Blue Cross CEO, Kim Keck. Now, let me ask you, what part of this UnitedHealthcare CEO being a father and a husband don't you understand? And what part of you having a choice of what healthcare provider you choose to deal with or not do you not understand? Because you don't have to go with United. You don't have to go with Blue Cross.
So let me just be extra clear. Never did I say that I felt joy in his death. I said very explicitly, if you play the full segment, and actually people can watch that segment on my YouTube in full, not the edited version that Piers showed, I said that I felt joy, along with millions of other Americans, that the brutality of our healthcare system was finally being acknowledged. I believe that our current healthcare system is murderous, right? I mean, we have uninsured Americans with a 40% higher risk of death compared to insured counterparts.
Taylor,
Nearly
we could talk about
70,000
healthcare all
Americans
night,
die
but that's
each
not
year
the topic.
due to lack of health insurance.
Taylor, that's not the topic. If you can talk about healthcare, I don't like the healthcare system either, and a lot of people have experienced frustration, like you're saying. That, to me, is separate and apart from the debate of praising, calling handsome, smart, intelligence, being joyful over the death and assassination of innocent people. And that's what your comments did. Your comments basically put your seal of approval on murder and assassination. And I'm trying to understand whether you like this guy, like the way he does business or not, you're advocating and putting a smiley face on assassination. And I'm trying to understand what is in your soul that doesn't understand he's a father and a husband here. What are you missing? There seems to be a missing chip with you.
Sean, if you'd like to hear, I will need to talk in order to explain.
I don't want the rationalization. I want you to think about what you said. Explain what you said.
I know exactly what I said. Again, I'm attempting to right now, so I'd ask you to please give the space and try to listen here. As I said, once again, never did I say I felt joy that this man died. I said, again, that I felt joy that millions of Americans or millions of really wealthy Americans and privileged Americans are forced to wake up to the reality that nearly 70,000 Americans die each year due to lack of health insurance. I do feel joyful that that is an issue that's being talked about.
Back to the healthcare debate. Why would any human being with a conscience and soul be joyful over an assassination of any person? Why would anybody be joyful over that?
Well, actually, that's a good question. Why don't I explain?
It's a great question.
The other So the other clip that you played is not me saying my own beliefs. I have quite different beliefs from that. What I'm describing, and if you watch the full segment, not just the clip, you'll see that I'm describing the mentality of these fangirls that show up outside Luigi's court and show up outside his jail cell. Those girls are not me, okay? We have very separate belief systems, but I was describing how they believe. And now let me explain to you why people in America feel this way. People in America feel this way, and they feel outraged because, again, every penny of the $22 billion in profit made by UnitedHealth was made at the expense and suffering of others. And that is violence. Our healthcare system is also violent. And that is a violence that people in the mainstream media, such as yourself, continue to refuse to acknowledge. So if you're going to talk about death and violence, it's
Taylor,
crucial to talk about the death and violence of our healthcare system. Pardon?
There's a better way than saying that Luigi Mangione is a revolutionary who's famous, handsome, young, smart,
and seems like he
and seems like he's a morally good man. If you want to have legitimate criticism, you could write an intelligent piece saying, here is what's wrong with America's healthcare system. Like, for example, I want healthcare savings accounts. I would like to see more of the use of telemedicine. I believe in healthcare cooperatives. I know one that works. Josh Umber, Atlas MD, average person, 24-hour concierge care, $50 a month. There are better ways to do it. That's a legitimate debate. But that's not how you're saying it. You're saying it in ways that are sympathetic to the people that are taking action.
I'm describing
handsome, good-looking. This is why people are happy and joyful.
I'm describing the belief system of his supporters, Sean. Oh.
Why don't you condemn them?
Hello?
Do you condemn? Will you say that anyone that praises this guy is lacking a soul, a conscience, and a heart? Do you agree with that statement?
Well, what I will say, Sean, once again, is that I believe in free speech.
I just asked you a very direct question. Will you say that anyone that's praising this guy doesn't have a soul, a conscience, and a heart?
I don't believe in things like, religious things like souls and all of these things.
I'm not asking about religious. If you can't have sympathy for a dead father and husband, do you lack a conscience, a soul, and a heart? That's a simple question. You're a smart woman.
Well, let me respond to you, Sean. I believe that every one of the 70,000 Americans that die each year because of lack of health insurance also has a heart.
You're back to healthcare and not answering my question. I've done this 29 years, Taylor. Answer the question. If you think it's okay and you celebrate assassination, are you lacking a conscience, a soul, and a heart?
I think once again you're conflating me explaining the ideology of the women that
you are trying to rationalize them. If you support assassination, Taylor, answer the question. If you support assassination of innocent people, are you lacking a conscience, a soul, and a heart? Simple question. Go.
I believe that the assassination of innocent people, if we want to talk about the assassination of innocent people, I believe that the tens of thousands of Americans that die each year because of the lack of health insurance, that is, to me, a violence in itself. That is assassination. These health insurance.
I'm willing to have that discussion with you, but we can't have that discussion until you say
have a discussion when you're not willing to hear, Sean, what my beliefs are, and you
condemn people that have been committing acts of. Do you condemn the people that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, or would it be a good thing in your mind? Or would you understand why people want to kill him, or understand why people want to kill Elon Musk? Do you understand them too? Are they handsome people too, smart people?
Well, so let me actually talk to you a little bit about that. So I cover violent extremism. I've witnessed violent extremism for many different factions, right, of the political system. If, for instance, somebody shows up and shoots an abortion provider dead, I want to understand their ideology. I'm a reporter. I want to understand their belief system, and I want to understand what led them there. Now, let me tell you something, because it's interesting you bring up the assassination of Donald Trump.
If you resort to violence and you kill innocent people, aren't you lacking a conscience, soul, and a heart? What's so hard?
Well,
why can't you answer that question?
Well, once again, when you talk about souls, that's not really my specialty. But what I do specialize in is extremism.
Obviously.
We are at a time right now.
By the way, I would say that's obvious.
Okay, thank you. Well, we are at a time right now when we're witnessing actually one of the biggest memes on the internet right now is about assassinating Trump and Elon. These are posts with millions of likes that are advocating for the assassination of the
Okay,
president.
simple question. Do you condemn that? Can you take a moral stand and condemn that?
What I condemn is the violence of our system, and I would love for you to acknowledge that.
I'm not asking you to condemn the system. Taylor, do you condemn people that call for assassination?
Gosh, you're going to ask if I condemn Hamas next. This is crazy. I would love for you to acknowledge what I'm actually saying, Sean, and we seem to be talking past each other. I want to talk about the fact that half of all adults are delayed because of cost. We need to talk about that 70% of Americans, by the way, believe that the insurance company practices are responsible in part for Thompson's death. These are signs of an unhealthy...
You want to put a rationalization. I am saying anybody that wants to assassinate any innocent person is wrong. I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican or a father or a husband. And I speak that is a simple truth that anyone with a heart would easily say on national TV that you're having a hard time with.
If you want to prevent further deaths and you don't want gun violence in the street, which I think we both are aligned in wanting, right? We want peace. We do not want violence in this country, no matter what side of the political aisle it's coming from. You need to understand motives and you need to understand the ideology that people have. And that is what my job is.
Why don't you first start with the basics? I'm going to help you out. Why don't you first condemn those that want to be involved in assassination and stop talking about them being handsome and smart and intelligent and
I didn't say that I believe that. I am describing his supporters who do believe that. And I think it's very important, just the way that I would try to understand the ideology
Will you condemn his supporters? Last question.
Unite the Right rally. I would try to understand the ideology of anyone that would advocate for violence in this country, no matter what it is.
Do you condemn his supporters?
Once again, I believe in free speech. I believe in free speech. If they have not committed any crimes, his supporters are outside just saying things. They're not committing any sort of acts of violence.
You won't condemn his supporters. You won't say what they're doing is repulsive.
Once again, Sean, I believe in free speech and the right to free expression. I seem to be in the minority.
There's a difference between assassination and speech. Do you condemn those that support violence and, in this case, praise Luigi Mangione?
You asked, again, the people that are showing up outside to support Luigi, they're exercising their right to free speech. They're talking about the fact that over 320,000 people died from lack of health insurance in the first 2 years of the pandemic
Appreciate you being with us.
These are things that we need to acknowledge if we ever want to fix our system. We have a violent healthcare system, Sean, and it needs reform, and that's what we should be focusing on. That's the violence we should center.
And people that have a platform like yours should speak out loudly and clearly and unambiguously, and you won't do it. Appreciate you being on. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.